Okay, this video is acknowledgement of uh, who I'm drawing from in the creation of the card technique, as well as the thinking behind it, why we think it works from a scientific and neurological perspective. But first, Phil Manfield has the flash technique, so this is largely borrowed from that. Also, memory reconciliation theory, also Hakomi, uh, attachment theory, uh, a lot of couples therapy for how people connect and attunement skills. Rob Fisher, personally, and just other influences as well. But the cart technique is basically it works because you're combining a preferred experience of the partners holding your hands. So there's touch, there's eye contact, there's verbal affirmation of the bond of I love you and I'm here for you. So I'm lighting up the attachment networks in the brain of really connecting. And so if the connecting part of my brain is lit up, and my generic example, the Hawaii part of my brain, the preferred experience of feeling good, having a good connection in Hawaii, being in nature and feeling my body feeling good and feeling that as a shared collective experience, then a lot of positive things are lit up in my head when I'm having a preferred memory. When somebody's visualizing that and their partner's helping them. And so, in addition to preferred experiences happening, there's a relational networks that are firing in the brain. And physical contact. So the idea is we're lighting a lot of preferred networks in the brain, the parts of the brain. I'll just call the prefrontal cortex, but it's we're lighting up healthy parts of the brain that aren't the part of the brain that I'll just call the reptile brain, the fight, flight, freeze part of the brain. And so if there's a phobia or an anxiety, it's going to be caught in the fight, flight, freeze part of the brain. So what we're doing is by putting the object, the trigger on an object, we're creating um, a precursor memory. So we're almost thinking about something. Like if I'm blinking, well, that's my way of acknowledging that this exists. That is different from me fantasizing about being thrown off the bridge. So it's less visceral, it's more distant, but there's still a part of my brain that's gaining awareness in the background that this dilemma exists when I blink on it. Every time we blink, we go from the present to the background network in the brain back to the present in 0.2 nanoseconds. And so what we're doing is we're creating a protocol that preferred things are happening in the brain, and we're creating that zigzag from the present to the background network to the present a whole bunch of times when we know something good is happening in the brain. And we're planting the subliminal message before doing that we're blinking on the negative thing. So the goal is the good part of the brain is visiting the negative thing a whole bunch of times during the 15 or so minutes while your partner is saying, hey, honey, I love you. And the changes in the tones of that, it's a different part of this part of the brain too. So memory reconciliation theory is basically saying if two things are happening at the same time that are opposites, the brain opens up the possibility of learning. So how we override an emotional memory isn't having a preferred experience. It's lighting up the negative experience enough so it's firing a little bit, so the brain is touching that part of the brain. So when we have the preferred experience, it's wiring together. The idea is that the neurons that wire together fire together. So we're lighting up the negative network a little bit, so it's barely lit up. But neuroscience has found that you don't have to really light it up to cause traumatic pain. And we've found through experience that it lights it up enough to say, hey, it's on this object, and when I blink my eyes, I'm thinking about it. And just the title on there lights it up enough to kind of connect to it. I don't have to fantasize about falling over the bridge and almost hitting the water and like that traumatic experience of falling that I had when I was a kid or whatever that created the phobia. So the title is enough. That I would say is the major theories behind it. There's a lot of people in the field that talk about attachment, but so it's a combination of memory reconciliation theory, Phil Manfield's modified protocol of the flash technique, but adding attachment and connection, and love, and allowing there to be more space for it than just 5 sets of flutters, and then adding more questions at the end. I would say this John Eisman from RCS reconsolidation of the self. John Eisman, the purpose of what does this mean about me and what does it mean about who you are? We're waking up the healthy ego of, instead of just healing the nervous system, we're healing the nervous system and adding I am the one that could heal my nervous system. This is me, and waking up the preferred self. That's not the change mechanism for reducing the activation, but since our brain's in a preferred state that allows access to that benefit being accessible as well, I have incorporated that into the CART technique. So in addition to working on the nervous system, we're also working on enhancing the sense of self and the sense of us, like as a couple, and the sense of who I am. We could do this. So the idea is we're waking up a healthy ego and a healthy we ego that can address things rather than just working on the nervous system. So it's kind of doing two things at once. Thank you.